All right, Disneyland Paris dreamers, let's dive into some serious trip strategy.
Because, let's face it, planning a trip to the happiest place on Earth, it shouldn't feel like you're navigating the Pirates of the Caribbean queue during peak season, right?
Exactly. Especially when you're trying to pinpoint that perfect time to go. You know, the sweet spot where the weather's playing nice, the crowds are manageable, and your euro is stretching as far as a magic spell.
And of course, we can't forget about snagging a good deal in a hotel. Nobody wants to be shelling out a king's ransom for a shoebox room.
Absolutely. Which is exactly why we've gone full-on research mode for this deep dive. We're talking Reddit threads, expert guides, all the good stuff to help you plan that dream Disneyland Paris trip.
Yeah, we were really struck by just how passionate the Disneyland Paris fans are online. They've got strong opinions, insider tips, and some pretty wild stories from their adventures.
Oh, for sure. I love that one Reddit user, Shrek Golem, who had some very strong opinions about hotel isolation during those summer heat waves. Apparently, it's make or break detail.
Right, and that's what makes these firsthand accounts so valuable. They
Mm.
highlight those little details, those things you won't necessarily find in a guidebook.
For instance, one thing that really surprised me digging through Reddit was how many people recommend going the week after Halloween.
Oh yeah, Fairy 83 put it perfectly.
Hmm.
They call it that magical sweet spot where the Halloween crowds have disappeared. But the park is still all decked out for spooky season.
So you get that Halloween vibe without the Halloween mayhem.
Exactly. Plus, you're just ahead of the Christmas crowds. So you get a little jump on the festive cheer without the peak season chaos.
Okay, that's brilliant. It's like a secret level of Disneyland Paris. Only the insiders know about it. But speaking of crowds, let's talk about those crowd calendars for a sec. They're everywhere, and they all seem to say something different.
Oh yeah, it's like navigating a maze. But don't worry, we've cracked the code. We've distilled all that crowd calendar chaos into some clear, actionable advice.
Hit me with it. What are the golden rules for dodging those Disneyland Paris crowds?
Well, if you want to avoid the crowds, weekdays are your golden ticket.
Weekdays.
Yeah, especially Tuesday through Thursday. Those came up again and again as having the lowest crowds.
Oh, that makes sense. It's all those Parisian school kids, isn't it? While they're stuck in class, we're off to Disneyland.
Exactly. And in terms of finding that sweet spot for the time of year, September really emerged as a top contender.
September. Okay. Tell me more.
Well, you get to enjoy that lingering summer weather. Still nice and warm, longer park hours, but the summer vacation crowds have gone home.
Okay, September is officially on my radar now. I can just picture it strolling through Fantasyland, enjoying an ice cream, actually being able to see the castle because I'm not in the sea of selfie sticks.
Now you're talking. And if you're thinking you want a bit of that holiday magic, but without the utter chaos of peak season, early December, before the holiday rush really gets going, that's another great option.
Ooh, getting a head start on those Christmas decorations does sound pretty magical. Did our Reddit friends have any tips on how to deal with the parks if you've got to go during those busier times, like Halloween or Christmas?
Definitely. Even if you're visiting during peak times, weekdays are still your best bet. It might not be a total ghost town, but it'll be way more manageable than a weekend. And this came up again and again. Get to the park before opening time.
Ah, the early bird gets the magic. Makes sense. But even with the best planning, sometimes lines are just inevitable, right?
That's true. But there are definitely ways to strategize. One Reddit user, Li5897, they were all about using those individual ride Premier passes.
Okay, tell me more about these Premier Passes. That sounds intriguing.
So you can buy these passes for specific rides, the ones that are notorious for long queues. And it basically lets you skip the regular line. Less time standing around, more time experiencing all the magic. It can be a real game changer, especially if you've only got a short trip and every minute counts.
Okay, that is genius. I'm all about working smarter, not harder, especially at Disneyland. But let's talk budget for a second, because we talked about finding those good deals on hotels. Is there a magic formula for that too?
Well, you know me. Always trying to make those euros stretch as far as possible.
Yeah.
Without compromising the experience, of course.
And you're right to think that way. Planning ahead is really key here. It can be tempting to wait for those last-minute deals, but you'll often find the best value by booking a bit earlier, especially if you've got some flexibility in your dates.
Okay, makes sense. So did those expert guides have any tips on the best way to do that?
Actually, yeah. The Whole World is a Playground guide. They had a great tip about using the Disneyland Paris trip planner. You can actually go on their website, plug in your dates, and compare hotel and ticket prices day by day.
No way. That's amazing. Talk about taking the guesswork out of finding a good deal. Right, it's like having your own personal travel agent. So much easier than clicking through endless websites.
Okay, so we've covered the best times to visit. We've talked about how to dodge those crowds and even some budget-friendly booking hacks. What's the final takeaway for our Disneyland Paris dreamers? What should they do with all this info?
It's all about using this information to plan an amazing trip, one that really works for you.
So it's not just about following some rigid itinerary. It's about taking these insights
Yeah.
and crafting a unique experience.
Exactly. Now that you've got a better idea of when to go, you can really focus on what you want to experience, what rides are at the top of your list, any character meals you're dying to try.
Ah, yes, the important questions. And that's where the Disneyland Paris app comes in, right? I've heard it's super helpful for keeping track of wait times, show schedules, things like that.
Definitely. It's a lifesaver once you're actually in the parks.
Hmm.
Real-time updates, all the information you need right at your fingertips.
Amazing. So are you ready to start planning your dream Disneyland Paris adventure? I know I am.
Me too. And for anyone listening, don't forget to share your own tips and stories with us. We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, we'll be sure to include a link to the Disneyland Paris booking website in the show notes too, for anyone who's ready to make those dreams a reality.
Until next time, happy
Yeah.
travels, everyone.